Hi there, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm just going to be talking about the Mandela Effect and some potential information that I've not seen anyone else put together, which is quite surprising. So, first of all, let me get straight to it. So, just for anyone that's new out there, not sure what the Mandela Effect is, in a nutshell, I'll give a quick definition of it that I just got online, just to make you aware. So, the Mandela Effect is a term for where a group of people all misremember the same detail, event, or physicality. It is named after the instance in which a large group of people all shared the same memory that Nelson Mandela died prior to his actual 2013 death, usually sometime in the 1980s. So, in a nutshell, there, a group of people all misremembering quite an important death, I guess. Some people still thinking he was alive, some people adamant that he was dead. So it's just key differences that people are remembering. And I'm making this video because I've been looking into this for quite a while now. I've probably done quite an extensive amount of research with regards to hours I've put into this. And there's quite a lot of evidence that suggests that maybe something has happened. So just going on from what is the Mandela Effect, another topic that I'll be mentioning in it as well. So again, this is just for anyone that is literally just clicked on this, not having a clue what the Mandela Effect is, but is keen to find out. So also, what is CERN and what are they trying to achieve? So again, I'm going to be touching on CERN. So first of all, so CERN is the largest piece of scientific equipment in the world, based in Switzerland. It costs about $1 billion per year to run, costs $13.25 billion to build. Their actual logo of CERN looks to me, so again, another topic that I may touch on at some stage is sigils. It looks to me like they've got a 666 in the logo of CERN, and there's other weird things that I've spotted about them, such as they've got Shiva based outside of their premises there, which I believe is the god of war, an ironic statue to be outside there. And there's been some odd ritualistic looking dances going on in and around CERN. Most recently, there was an underground tunnel, the largest in the world again, in Switzerland, that had been dug. Again, I'll try and get a link to the video for it, but I've shown it to people that aren't really even interested in the stuff I talk about, and they said that there was something a bit off about the video and what was going on in there. So without further ado, let me get back to the Mandela Effect. Hopefully you've got a brief understanding now as to what they are. So the Mandela Effect, the ways how, the main ones that really caught my attention. So I approached this with an open mind. I wouldn't necessarily say skeptical, because I'm always open to new ideas. But there were some movie quotes initially. This is how I first found out about this, that people have got videos of where they've actually changed from what everyone remembers them as. So the first one that initially caught my eye was the Forrest Gump scene where he says, "Life is like a box of chocolates." And they said that it had changed. And I thought, there's no way that's changed. It's changed. It's now life was like a box of chocolates. There's video evidence everywhere. I've even checked the DVD of it that I have. It's changed. Life was like a box of chocolates. That's how it is now. Again, that's a bit of a weird topic to start talking about for anyone that doesn't have a clue what the Mandela Effect is, but there's other people that have been researching this by the looks of it for quite a while as well. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. So with regards to the Forrest Gump one there, I live in London, and in central London there is a Bubba Gump shrimp restaurant, which is in reference to the movie. So I thought, okay, that would be a good place to start to try and debunk this. And in the restaurant there, on all of their t-shirts, I've taken photographic evidence of it. It says life is like a box of chocolates. I mean, considering that's meant to be official merchandise, that would be pretty poor that they're getting words wrong on there. And some people might just say, oh, well, it's only one word. what does that matter? Again, I'll elaborate on that a bit more later on. However, just changing one word in a sentence. So, for example, life is like a box of chocolates. Life is continual, whereas life was like a box of chocolates indicates that it has ended. Another big example that I've seen quite often on the internet is Interview with a Vampire, or that's how I remember it. Interview with a Vampire has now changed to Interview with the Vampire. Again, the similar case with Forrest Gump there. Just changing that one word gives it conjures, and I'm being very selective with that word, it conjures a different image or a different meaning to it, because words are magic effectively, because they depict different images in your mind. So if you're saying Interview with a Vampire, that indicates that there are many vampires. Interview with the Vampire indicates to me that there's one. The Vampire is singular. There's only one. So again, another major one, in the Star Wars movies, where there's the big reveal of Darth Vader saying that he's Luke Skywalker's father. I won't even do an impression there, but that was probably sounded more asthmatic than anything there. But he now says, "No, I am your father," whereas I remember that as "Luke, I am your father," because I've actually got a friend called Luke that I have said that to for many, many years. It was just kind of a running joke between us. We go, "Luke, I am your father." When we were children, we would say that. And it's all over merchandise as "Luke, I am your father." Again, I've seen a video on YouTube where someone's got videographic proof on official Star Wars sneakers or trainers where it says "Luke, I am your father" on the actual box on there. Now, with all of these, I'm still keeping an open mind, because it's possible that many, many people could just get these quotes wrong. Oh, another one that springs to mind is Snow White. So again, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? That's what the witch asks the mirror on there. It's now changed to magic mirror on the wall. I don't remember it as that. That's an almost iconic phrase, because that's been used in songs. Shrek actually had a kind of a mixtape of that, where they were saying "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all." So it just seems a bit strange, but again, I'm still open to suggestion that maybe myself and other people have got these movie quotes incorrect. Again, I'm trying to keep an open mind on this as to how psychologically people can misremember details, although they're pretty key details. Again, I'm just trying to accentuate the fact that I am trying to keep an open mind on this. I recently, again, I'm not sure if anyone in the US is listening to this, but there was an English guy that I heard on a YouTube page the other day. He was talking about, so we've got cars in Europe called Volvos. I'm not sure if you get them in the States. That's the brand of the car. The logo on that has changed, and I can't find the original model anywhere. Where it's now a circle with an arrow depicting the male logo, I guess, the circle with the arrow coming out of it. Whereas I don't remember that arrow ever being on there, and neither does he. Again, it could be my mind playing tricks on me, because apparently 25 to 30% of our memories are fictional. So again, I'm always trying to keep an open mind. Just for another instance, there's some people that I've heard on YouTube talking about the Pepsi logo changing. And yes, it has changed. However, I recently did read a document about that as it happened, that they spent $1 million on changing it, because there were people laughing about it, how it didn't really change much on there. I think they just slightly changed the angles within the circle. So again, with the logo changes, I do try to keep an open mind. However, with regards to the Volvo one, I've seen old models of Volvos in the streets, and the logo is changed on there. So this is where it's very, very hard to explain what's happening. I'm trying not to ramble too much here because I'm trying to make this as concise as possible. But I'm trying to put so they're bits that people have spoken about. However, I've just again I research odd things all the time, and sometimes bits that I've researched 2 years ago don't necessarily make sense. However, with this Mandela effect thing potentially happening, bits that I've researched from years back now kind of make sense or could be potentially related to this. For example, just again going back to other examples, song lyrics. There's many songs online that people are saying have changed. Prince songs, Queen songs, pretty iconic songs that have actually got changes of lyrics. And if you're a diehard fan, which I'm not particularly, people would notice a lyric change. If they're listening to that song day in, day out, or they listen to that song that reminds them of a specific time, they will know those lyrics. So on to the bits that I've put together that I think I personally haven't seen anyone else on YouTube talk about this, which is a potential theory that would make sense. So I've seen videos on there about time travelers. There's one in particular that caught my eye. There's some videos that look like they could be doctored. I mean, they're interesting to watch. However, they could easily be doctored, as in edited. But there's one that really, or no, actually, there's two that really stayed in my mind for whatever reason. So there's one in a Charlie Chaplin film. Bearing in mind, Charlie Chaplin was around in the 20s or 30s. I mean, black and white TV quite some time ago. There's a woman that walks past. Excuse me. A woman that walks past and seemingly has a cell phone, a mobile phone in her hand. So she's, if it is a woman, I mean, it's quite hard to tell. It could easily be a man dressed up as a woman, but regardless of that, it's a long time before mobile phones were ever invented, or maybe not invented, but at least released to the public. It very much looks like this person is on a mobile phone walking past the camera. I don't think that could be doctored, purely for the fact that, to my knowledge, it's even on sort of DVD releases and what have you, so it's official. However, it could be something else, but when you see the footage, you'll know exactly what I mean, that it looks like they're on a cell phone, a mobile phone. The main one that has sort of stained my mind since I've seen it is a Mike Tyson boxing match in 1995. There's someone in the audience that looks like they're filming it with a smartphone. 1995, I remember what sort of phones I had around that time. Even if it was around that time, the technology wasn't there, at least to the public, to be recording video footage on there. And this cell phone looks like one that is around nowadays. Again, I'll try and get links to all these videos on the page. If not, I'll try and actually put the videos maybe at the end of this video, but just for copyright purposes, maybe I'll just put a snapshot on. There's other weird little bits that I've researched along the time. So very recently there was, again, I'm not sure if this is a hoax because I didn't look into it too much because it sounded quite far-fetched, but after this Mandela Effect malarkey, who knows? But there was apparently a mummy or a mummified body that was dug up that had 3 stripes on their trainers, Adidas. It could be a hoax. It could be, who knows, a publicity stunt. Who knows? But again, it's just food for thought there. Another one, there's a picture online which apparently has been looked into and is a legitimate picture where it's someone that's seemingly dressed as you'd call them a hipster. So cool glasses on, a modern day looking t-shirt. He looks very out of place in this picture. It looks like the picture's set in the 20s or 30s or something like that. So he looks very, very out of place. Even though it's a black and white picture, you can see the type of outfit that he's wearing on there. But more pressing issues that everyone would have seen now. So they're more obscure examples, for example. But ones that everyone would have seen now. Now, The Simpsons and Family Guy, I've been watching not necessarily over the past 5 years or so, but in my childhood slash young adult life, I was literally watching The Simpsons every day. And the Family Guy, I got quite into that as well. So I've seen quite a lot of the episodes of that. They, between the two of those programs, have predicted so many events, deaths of people, political candidates, inventions such as iPhone type devices or tablets, or I believe the tablets was done by Star Trek. But anyway, the general point I'm getting at, so it's not just The Simpsons, but I'm using these two as examples because they're everyone knows about The Simpsons or Family Guy, one of the two of those. But with regards to the deaths that they have predicted, again, I've looked into other explanations of what these could have been. Air quote Illuminati, could be a different subject, could be related to this, who knows. But another theory that it could be, how do we know it's nothing to do with time travel? It's plausible. It fits in with the Mandela Effect. It fits in with it. And again, in movies and the television, we're continually being conditioned, whether it's for an alien attack with things like Independence Day or what have you. There's so many movies that push agendas behind them. I recently saw a very, very good video. Again, I'll try and put a link to it if I can find it. There's a guy on here that I subscribe to. I can't remember his name, but he broke down the film Pleasantville. Excellent breakdown, and was basically saying how the screen or movies and TV programs do and can have agendas behind them. With regards to specific topics that they're trying to push, much in the same way as general media such as newspapers, etc., where if they have a political agenda, they'll typically write it from the perspective of how they want to portray a candidate or a situation, something to that effect. So just going back to other programs that I used to watch, again, that could be potentially conditioning, that could have been signs of sorts. So there was a program on when I was a lot younger called Sliders. Again, I would recommend to watch, type it in on YouTube, Sliders. It's quite an old program from the 90s, but it basically is talking about the Mandela Effect. So there's this guy that would go into different parallel universes, not necessarily time travel as such, I wouldn't say, but he would go into alternative parallel universes, and there would always be slight nuances each time. So could be a slight change of person, a slight change of politics. There will just be subtle changes, again, like what's seemingly going on with this Mandela Effect. And the only way he would know when he was in his own universe, if I remember, he would have a squeaky gate to enter into his house, and then that's when he knew he was back in the right place. Back to the Future, again, that's a popular film many people know about. One that I haven't really heard anyone speak about is The Butterfly Effect. So I think that was more of a cult film. I think it had Ashton Kutcher in there. The Butterfly Effect, very similar to this. So it's basically saying if a butterfly flaps its wings in Japan, that could cause a tornado in another part of the world, something to that effect. Which again leads on to this Mandela Effect. So if you, for example, did manage to time travel, and all of a sudden I saw it in The Simpsons, I'm sure it was, where they said, oh, if ever you time travel, you just can't touch anything. It was The Simpsons or Family Guy, I'm pretty sure, one of the two. And it makes complete sense, because if you think about it, if you go back in time and you are eating a banana, all of a sudden you drop your banana skin on the floor down the street, someone slips on it, they then have an accident, an ambulance comes, that ambulance wouldn't have been there. So then maybe with that ambulance being there, someone else somewhere in another part of that region gets stabbed or something, and then they bleed to death because the ambulance wasn't able to get to them in time, whereas previously the ambulance did save them because this other person didn't slip on the banana skin. I just plucked that from complete obscurity, that story there, just made that up on the top of my head, but hopefully that gives a bit of an example as to what effects this can have. Major effects as well. Again, I'm not an overly religious person. I'm agnostic. However, I do listen to what people have to say about religion. I find it interesting, and I do try and take in. Excuse me, I think I'm getting a cold. I do try to take into consideration all people's views and points, because ultimately I just see it as adding more pieces to the jigsaw. Again, that's why I'm doing this video. I'm not monetizing this. I'm not trying to get any fame out of it or anything like that. But if I can be that spark that can show a piece of information that will maybe give another person that knows more about the subject than myself some sort of evidence that they've been looking for, that then helps further their research, that's why I'm doing this. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. So yeah, a couple of other questions I have about this is, how long has this supposed Mandela effect been going on for? Is this a new phenomena? Has this happened because of CERN? So going back to CERN, so CERN were trying to find, air quote, the God particle. So from my understanding of what that is, they're trying to find out how this Earth came about. Was it a Big Bang that happened, which I personally don't believe in, or was it some other means? And from my understanding of what this whole CERN project is about, is that they're trying to cause effectively a mini controlled explosion with the power on a smaller scale of the Big Bang. I may be wrongly wording things there, but from my understanding, that's the general gist of what they're trying to get out of this. But who knows if they've discovered something else in the meantime? Who knows if time travel hasn't been available for many, many years? As I say, it would be very hard. The technology that we have as the public is years behind what, say, the military or the government have access to. And a lot of people that may be skeptical about even what I'm saying here, I would say, do your research on FBI files that are now readable for the public. For example, something such as monarch mind control. So it's basically controlling people via their mind. So they're becoming your puppets, in a nutshell. A lot of people would say that that sounds like fiction. It's fact. Again, there's other people that talk about cloning, which after bits of research I've looked at, it looks plausible, put it that way. And it's something that was spoken about many, many years ago. Yeah, again, I would say look into that. A film called The Boys from Brazil, check that out. Again, when I go back to conditioning in film, sorry if it sounds a bit scattish that I'm all over the place talking. I just feel like I've got a lot to say. But I'll try not to deviate too much. But yeah, those topics are quite irrelevant. However, what I would say, a topic, if there is anyone that is religious out there, is check your King James, the 5th Bible. I recently saw a preacher, he wasn't a pastor or anything, but he was just preaching outside a train station. This happened to me just the other day, and I saw that he was using a King James the 5th Bible, so I asked him if I could have a look at something in there, which I was gobsmacked at. So the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, etc., etc. Everyone, when I was growing up, that was almost drummed into us. We had to say that every day in assembly. So everyone knew that like the back of their hand. Same with judge not, lest ye be judged. Again, that's another phrase that I learned, because for me that can kind of counteract anyone trying to damn you. If anyone says, oh, you're going to hell, or this is going to happen to you, that's going to happen to you, I always remembered that phrase, because for me that phrase can counteract anything that anyone's saying, because no one can judge me and I shouldn't be able to judge anyone else. They've changed. So in physical Bibles, and this is where I need to be clear for anyone that, again, doesn't understand fully what the Mandela effect is, in a physical copy of the Bible, as with the physical Volvo cars, these words and logos have changed, as with the Forrest Gump and Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, etc. They have physically changed. Now, a lot of people might not notice this or might just say, oh, yeah, but it's only one word here and there. What does that mean? But again, just going back to the interview with the vampire and the Forrest Gump example, changing one word can depict a completely different sentence. So if you change 2 or 3 words, let's say in biblical scripture, you could read a sentence for it to be completely different with 1 word change, let alone 3 words. So who's to say that if this Mandela effect has definitely happened, how do we know that people haven't just used it, let's say time traveled once and just changed a few subtle things just to let other people, make other people aware that it has actually worked? For example, oh look, I've changed it to interview with the vampire, just to prove to you that it's worked, because it's subtle that not everyone would pick up on. However, what if they go back several times and then all of a sudden, let's say that Germany wins World War II? Will everyone start speaking German and it just be sort of a normal language on the streets, sort of the worldwide language? This is the scary part of it, because where will it end if they have control over this and they are changing things? Where will it end? I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say on the matter today. I wrote a few notes down because I know I can go off on a bit of a tangent sometimes. So I've actually gone through all of the main notes that I wanted to go through here. But again, just to say the different bits that people haven't said on here, I think that programs like the Simpsons, Family Guy, everyone looks... Oh, there is another example, actually. There's an Illuminati card game. Again, I know a lot of people don't like the word Illuminati, the catch-all phrase. Again, I've researched them quite extensively, and they're what they're up to, I guess. Illuminati card game. Some people might say, have we been programmed by the predictions that the card makes, or has someone gone into the future and then written the cards as like a warning? For example, on my page, again, I'll put a link to it. There's a video at CERN where they're dancing around in their workplace to the Pharrell Happy song. And at 2 minutes and 33 seconds into it, there's a completely unrelated clip where a guy has a sign around his neck saying Bond 1 Mandela. I've put a video to that on my page. Very, very, very odd. Of all the words that the guy could have chosen in the world, he's decided to choose the word Mandela. Coincidence, maybe. I don't really believe in coincidences, but you can judge that for yourselves. But what I'll try and do is try and put all the important links to this in the description box underneath this. If there's anything else that comes up that I feel the need to talk about, or if you guys haven't or have enjoyed listening to what I have to say, I've got other topics that I look at and have thoughts on as well. But yeah, just let me know. Just comment down below, let me know, and check out the description box, guys. But again, if anyone comes up with any links or anything that they think I would find interesting with regards to this that I haven't spoken about, then please do send me a link to it, inbox me, send a comment on the page, what have you. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, bye.